Hello everyone, this is me Chess Moshik, or just Helen for you if you want to be my friend. And today is the first week of new series on YouTube and my first ever YouTube video, so I'm so freaking excited. And the plan is that I'm going to do my homework with you. My coach just gave me a new book and we're going to solve it from puzzle 1 to whenever puzzle is the last one. And today we're solving the first few pages of this book. I will show it to you later, and I'm going to go through it with one by one puzzle. And if it's wrong, I'll come back to you after my coach session and you'll see future me version to showing you the right answer. Here we're on the table and I'll show you the book first. So it's a new book, so we start from puzzle 1. Today's goal is to solve 24 puzzles. So this book is unique because some of the puzzles you need to do for white and black. So if you can see, the positions are on the board and they're all from white perspective, so white in the bottom and black on top. And also like there is little circles here, and it means that sometimes you need, like number 1, you need to solve this puzzle for white and for black. So that's what we're going to do. Let's go. So this is the page number 1. Also the numbers in the circles is kind of supposed to be difficulty, but it's not always that correct, so don't really put a lot of attention, or maybe put attention. So yeah, anyway, by author it's supposed to be a difficulty. So number 1 is easy, and bigger numbers the harder it is. So I know how hard they are, probably 1 to 10. Page number 1, 1 to 6, and we page number 2, 7 to 12. Page number 3, 14 to 18. And the last page for today, 19 to 24, is page number 4. Cool, let's go to solving. I'm really excited about this one. So this puzzle we're solving for both sides. And let's start with the white one. I think the answer is take the knight. And after something takes is a pawn or rook, we have a fork here for the king. Let's go for black ones. So for black we also see these fork ideas, but right now it doesn't work because the knight is on the board. So technically if we take the knight we can fork, and also it's forking the knight. So let's just do it. So we're taking, so first what we're doing, we take the knight, the queen take queen, and then knight to f3. Puzzle number 2, also solving for 2 sides. So the first thing I see for white is that we have a potential checkmate here, but the knight is here, so no checkmate. And the other thing is a fork here, but again the knight is targeting this square, so this knight is a big problem for me. Oh wait, I see it. So what we can do potentially is we taking the bishop, just listen me up, we do sacrifice the queen, and the knight takes, but then we go here and fork the king and the queen, and we piece up, and I think this is the solution. So let's write it down. Okay, what about black? We see that there is a potential, is this a checkmate, right? Yeah, okay. So this is a checkmate over here, but bishop cannot move because of pin, right? So we need to find a way to release the pin. So we can take the knight, and then the queen takes the knight, or the queen, and there is a checkmate here, right? Yes. Yeah, I think this is the answer. Cool. Puzzle number 3, same thing, we're solving for both sides. Let's start with the white. Again, there is an idea of forking the queen and the king and the queen. It does work because the pawn takes. Technically, if we can take a pawn here, then we can take the knight, but then We're just winning a pawn, right? Oh no. Okay, oh no, no, I'm like... Oh guys, this is a 4 difficulty, so there is might be something tricky. Let's check out what we can do else. So also if the king will be here, oh no, it doesn't work. I was thinking if there is something like this. Take, and go here. Where the king can go only here, right? Or here. That's a good thing. Because then when we're moving the bishop or knight here and take the queen, there is a discovered check. And the king has to move on white on this. So the king has to move, and after this we're taking the rook as well, and that's where the win. Okay, that's what I'm going to write down. So we'll take in a pawn, and if they don't take, okay, let's see if they don't take. What if they move the king to g8 spot? Because technically, again, there is still a fork, right? But the pawn takes. Okay, if we'll take the c take, it doesn't really work, right? What if we take this with the bishop with the bishop, yeah, and the bishop takes the bishop, which is logical. The rook goes here, the queen takes rook. I found it! Oh goodness sake, I'm so silly. Okay, I'm not sure. I think I smart. Okay, so if we take here, the king goes to g8. There is a rook rule hanging. That's the thing. I just need to figure it out how to do it in the best. Oh, maybe we'll take the rook first. And then after queen takes the rook, we're going taking the pawn. And if they take with the pawn, then there is a fork, right? Because the fork is still forking the king and the queen. But if the king moves and we here with the queen, then we can take the rook over here because the rook is not on the way anymore. But then in this case, you don't really win the rook, because in the first action when we took go here, and then this was like somewhere here, and we taking the queens and we discover check and we have a free rook, right? But in this situation, the rook is not free, so everything we win is just a pawn, so it doesn't really actually make sense. So I think first move has to be the queen here, but the question is what to do on the king to g8 here. That's my problem. Wait, oh wait, we just go here, and then we take in the rook, right? Because if they take in the pawn or the queen here, we still have a check here and taking the queen, and the queen is free, and we have rook and queen. And it will take them going here, and with taking the rook, and they recapture the rook here with the queen, then we're having the second rook on d2. This is my answer. Let's try to solve it for white then. Is it the rook sacrifice and the fork? Any other moves they can do on the rook? If they go here, oh, then we take in the knight again. And here's the puzzle number 4. We also solve it for both sides, and actually for white it seems like it's difficult. Even though I can see this sacrifice right away, there is the same ideas, but maybe they do have something here as well. I think this is a black answer, that we go the rook here and then the take. So let's what we're going to do with the white color, right? That's a question. And why it's considered to be that difficult? Because probably this one is not check, right? So if it's not a check, that they have this discovered attack, and it's not really good. So maybe we go and give a check on a8 first. They moving king to h7, right? And there is still a fork here, so now we're sacrificing the rook, maybe. And okay, so if they're taking with the pawns, then it's clearly a fork and we're winning the queen. But what if they're taking with the king? So this is something to calculate. And I think we need to give a check with the queen over here. The king has only squares to go here and here. And our queen is on h8. And from here we can give a check on h5. Is it checkmate on all of them? Because the knight is holding f pawn and it's holding f6 and f4. So if the king on g6, right, on g6 here, queen is on h1, so queen is holding this line, and this line. It is checkmate. And if the king on g5, the king can go here, cannot go here, cannot go here, and cannot go here, and it's also checkmate. Oh my gosh, that's a beautiful one. Okay, let me show it on a board so you could see. So we're moving the queen to a8, the king moves to h6, and we're sacrificing the rook. And if the pawn takes, then it's just the fork and we're winning the queen here. But if the king takes, we're giving a check with the queen, and after the king moves, there is a checkmate over here. Okay, here we go, puzzle number 5, and it's actually white to move only, but the difficulty is 5, so it's kind of crazy. I mean, usually I want to sacrifice my queen here and see if it actually works, but I don't know. So the rook technically can go here, right? So what we want to do, okay, the bishop is holding the black diagonal, the other bishop is holding white diagonal. So if I sacrifice my queen and bring the rook to g3, then king can only move on a back rank here or here. If it goes to f8, then I can give a check. Here the rook goes here, but then they cover. Actually, I don't feel it's working. I'm kind of fixated now on the idea of sacrifices because all other puzzles were about sacrifices. Okay, they were also about the knight fork, so maybe this might be interesting, but we have the bishop here that it's on the way and the pawn here that it's on the way, so is it actually that working? Probably not. So the one of the most like obvious if you want to go is just to go to rook to g3 and give a threat of taking the rook, right? So what the black can do, they can go rook to h3. Also there is a potential of maybe queen here. So technically we go the knight to f5. The pawn g-pawn cannot take. If the rook takes, we'll just take the rook. And then we promote the pawn and win the knight, right? Okay, the question if they're taking with f or e-pawn. So the knight to f, then we're taking with e-pawn. The queen is hanging as well, so it's not that easy. And then we promote a pawn and then taking our queen. And we're taking their queen. And the rook is hanging and the knight is hanging. So moving the rook, we're taking the rook, they're taking the rook. Oh, wait! What if we take this pawn? And then the pawn takes. But then I don't like get anything, right? Or do I get pawns? Like because I pick up here. The bishop takes. Knight takes. We're having this one. And the king can go. Okay, let's try it on the board before writing down in this case. So what I want is I want to give a bishop here. So they take with the pawn. We take in the pawn on e6 and giving away queen. And also like threatening to take a bishop. And when they recapture with the bishop, then we're given a check and given a fork. So they have few moves here. I don't really think if there is something different here. So they're moving close to the knight, which is usually a normal thing, and we're taking here. And what do we have here? So we have two pieces versus two small pieces, minor pieces, two rooks versus two rooks. But we have 3 pawns versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns. So it should be winning, and it's also fork here. So yeah, let's go for this. Okay, puzzle number 6, why to go, and the difficulty is 3. Okay, we can take the knight. The pawn cannot retake. The pawn is like, okay, so what we've seen is the pawn is pinned, so maybe we can exploit on these weaknesses, right? Right now, if I'll take the queen takes the bishop, and I don't feel there is something extremely winning here. Okay. What if we're moving my knight over on f5? So the knight would threaten the queen over here, and the queen has to move. Let's, for example, move queen to e6, and then we take in the bishop or the knight. Oh no, it doesn't work, because if it goes here, the knight goes here, and we take, and the queen take. Okay, same idea. So knight goes to f5. Okay, let's also check other ideas. So if the queen goes to e8 first, then we potentially can go to d6 and take the bishop. Okay, we're doing the same idea, and the queen goes to e6. Then I'm thinking maybe we do bring the second knight over here, and the queen under the threat again. And on this square the queen can go is to go to e5, and my knight is here and here, the queen on e5. Okay, if we'll take the queen take, there are some funny knight businesses now, because the knight can go here, right? Or maybe this isn't funny business. Maybe we don't even need to bother about this one now. So when it goes here, we'll just take, they take, and then the knight going to d6, and the bishop is hanging, and the queen is hanging, and they have no way to protect it. So I think this is answer. So everything is simple. We're just going to knight to f6, right? And if the queen stays somewhere like either here or on e6 or in e5, then we're just taking the knight on e4, and after the queen recaptures the knight, then the knight goes to d6, and we're winning a bishop on d7 because it's work on a queen on a bishop. Okay, cool. Here we are, and this puzzle we're solving for both colors, and it's difficulty 1 for white and 2 for black. So for white ones, do we just forking? Or maybe we'll just take here first, and then they take it, and then it's a fork. Yep. And for black, I spotted it straight away. So let's see if it does work. So pawn to c3, and if the king moves, then we're taking the queen. And if the queen takes the pawn, then this is a fork here. And if the king takes the pawn, then we have a fork on e4. Okay, here is a puzzle number 8, and we're solving it again for both sides. And honestly, when I was setting it up, it seems like identical to puzzle number 1. So for white pieces, we just take the knight on g4, and after queen takes g4, we're just giving a fork. And for black one, we're just taking the knight, and after the knight takes, we giving a fork on f2. I think it's just like a mirror puzzle, to be fair. Puzzle number 9, and it's also white and black is difficulty number 4. That's why I set up it for black to move, so we can maybe move it around, or I could show it better. But for white it seems really easy because we're just taking the knight here on e5, and after king the recaptures, we just give the knight fork. What with the black to go? So the fork I see for the queen and the rook, it's like already even look at them straight away, is targeted with the rook, so it doesn't actually work. And if we take here, then the king takes. Wait a second. Okay, so we take with the rook queen, the king takes. What if we give a check on g2? Because these two is targeting by a pawn, so the king has to go back here on e2, e1, and then the knight goes to f3. And we're forking queen and rook, or queen and king, and also it's checkmate, right? Wait, it is checkmate. Holy moly, guys. Okay, let's check it out. So here, this is the idea. The king has only one move, and then the knight here, and the checkmate. Yeah, I was right. Okay, good. Puzzle number 10, and again white and black to move. So we'll start with white, and this is identical idea. We just take and go here. Let's see what the blades. Isn't this back rank? I mean, look. So the knight is holding these two h and f spot for king to go. Look, what if I move my queen to h1? It looks like crazy, but after the king recapture h1, there is boom. The king is the rook on f1. The king has nowhere to go, so the only way to protect the checkmate is the bishop on g1, right? And then we're sacrificing the rook on g1, and the king takes g1, and then the second rook on c1. And I mean, there is ways to protect this. The boss leads to checkmates, and I think this is the right move. Okay, so we'll go here, and here, and the only way is to protect, because this square is covered by the knight, and we're taking with the rook. The only way is to take the rook back, and then we're going to second rook to c1, and after this they only can cover here, and it's checkmate eventually. Boom. Okay, puzzle number 11, both sides to solve, and white is easy difficulties, and black is also just 3, right? So I think for white it's just an easy fork. Oh, we probably can just take the rook and then give a fork, and it's still up. Okay, black to go. Is it queen to d1? Just list me up. I know we'll sacrifice queen, that it works so far, right? So the king has only one move to take, and then we have discovered double check on the king, and the king has to move, but it has nowhere to move, so it's checkmate. So we go here, the king takes, and wait, it's not checkmate. Okay, it's almost checkmate, right? This is checkmate. Almost. Okay, good. Next one, let's move. Puzzle number 12, and again to solve for both sides. White is number 1 difficulty, and black is difficulty number 3. And I think for white we'll just take the knight and just give a fork for the queen and the king, and we're winning the piece. Okay, black one. There is something over here. It's not checkmate straight away because the king can go f4. But I'm thinking if I can go back here and the king will be able to move to e5 here, right? Is there anything else? Because then, like, there is no checks. I thought there is might be a small check with the minor pieces, so distracted from a king queen, and I can take the queen, but it's not actually working. So now I'm thinking, well, so if the king is here, my queen is on f3. Like for example, I move back to and give a check at e3. The white can actually cover with a knight. Yeah, oh wait, and then the queen can go. No, wait, the white goes up, so the queen cannot go here. The pawn would take, right? So it doesn't work. Or maybe we go to e1 with the idea to not allow the king to go to e4. So if we go here, then the king can go. It still cannot go to any of this one, so it only has square to f4, and after that we're going back to. Is there anything from here? It's on this square. Knight here. The king goes to this spot. No, there is nothing, right? I'm thinking, what if we go here? Oh, is it the answer? All this way I was just looking for another direction. Okay, the king has nowhere to go, right? So the only way they're doing is just like taking. There is no way to take, right? Just in case. And then they just take a queen. Oh, God's sake, it was so easy. And I was just like, cannot believe it. I even didn't look at this move. Okay. Puzzle number 13. So what we can see is a knight going here for the fork, but the knight is taken. So what we're going to do is to take the knight and then fork. We did similar today. For black one, wait, can we sacrifice the queen? So the queen goes here and it's threatening checkmate like on both sides. And even if the queen takes a knight at this position, we have a checkmate on h1. And if they take the pawn takes to gh4, then there is a checkmate on h3 if I'm not mistaken. It's a really beautiful checkmate. I like stuff like that. Let's see it out. So here, and checkmate. Okay, puzzle number 14. I already it's my attempt number 2 because I forgot to set up this pawn in the previous one, so already wrote down my answer for the white, but I will repeat it for you. I didn't set up. I wanted to set up for black to move, but okay. So the answer was here, and if we take, we'll just go and give a fork. And if they're moving the king to h5, then there is a checkmate coming. Oh, it's not checkmate. Oh, it is checkmate. Cool. Okay. And for black, as I think the decision for black, that's what I saw when I was like setting up, is to move my king or queen to a4, and the only way to protect from it is to pawn takes on a4, and then the pawn on b4 to checkmate. So let's just move some random pieces that wouldn't really change anything. So we go here, they would take, and then we have a piece here, and it's checkmate, right? Is it checkmate? b4 checkmate, yep. Cool, here we go. Okay, puzzle number 14 or 15, and both sides again. The black difficulty is 4 and white difficulty is 2. And again, for white, it's just to take the knight, and after the queen takes, there is a check and we're winning the knight, so it's easy. Okay, and for black one, wait, is there something dealing with this check here? The king goes to, because I was thinking if I sacrifice first, but then, oh, there is something here. Oh, wait, is it checkmate? Oh, I can do here straight away. Wait, maybe there is no need to risk. So here king to g1, and then the bishop to. Okay, in this case, they do have the knight to d4 and it doesn't work. But if we sacrifice the queen and the knight takes the queen and then we give a check, and the only way out is to king goes to g1 and then the bishop here. So where the king can go? The king cannot go here. This is a knight here and it's on the square. Okay, I think it's working. Okay, cool. So let's try it on. So we take, check. The only move is to go king to g1 and then bishop to a7. They only can cover. Is there a difference? Okay, so here and this checkmate. Yes. Okay, good. Good. Nice. I forgot how to speak. Okay, here we are, puzzle number 16, solving for white and black. I actually by accident set up it wrong with a rook on d2 and it was absolutely wrong. So and I couldn't solve my puzzle for black and I was just like, wait, my pieces are wrong. So for the white, we're just taking the rook, queen takes the rook and then we're forking. And for the black, I found this idea is to, wait, we're sacrificing the queen here by giving it away. Then, I know, the queen is taking the queen and then the rook goes to d1 and the only move the king can go is to, wait, it doesn't work. Oh wait, it does work. So we go with the rook first and then the knight takes the rook and then the queen on e1 and it's the same thing. Okay, we just don't sacrifice the queen here. So let's see it out. So here and queen to e1 and the only move is to king to h2 and then it's checkmate on h1. Okay, here we go, the puzzle number 17, solving for both sides. And for white, I think it's sacrifice of queen here and then the king takes and we're taking the bishop and we're winning the bishop because then we're forking the knight. Oh, we're forking the king and we're forking the queen. Let's check out what the black can do here. So the first thing I'm thinking, maybe the rook sacrifice. And then if the rook takes, then we can go here and back rank, right? But if the pawn takes here, we can... Oh, the queen is hanging. Oh, yes. Okay, the queen is hanging after. And if the rook takes and the queen takes queen, then the rook takes rook. And it's the same idea with the queen to sacrificing here, and we just take the queen, rook takes, I don't know, go back, and then take here. There is a checkmate over there anyway. Okay, so the rook to c3. So the queen goes here, and I was like, this is was one of concerned one. So we just go back here, and this is checkmate. And any others is checkmate. And if here again, we just take rook here. If the rook takes, queen goes to e1 and it's back rank. And if the b takes c pawn, then the queen takes queen, and we have a free queen. Puzzle number 18 is black to go on the difficulty number 2. Is it the queen takes knight, and after the queen takes knight, we're just giving a fork? Beautiful! Puzzle 19, solving for white and black. It's difficulty 2 for white and difficulty 8 for black. But okay, let's go with the white. I can assume that we take the rook. The queen takes the rook. And after we're sacrificing the queen and the knight to c5. Okay, let's see what's the monster here on a black one. And it's like 8 difficulty. We're going to struggle here. Okay, what if we... no, I don't like this one. There is nothing. Okay, if we take the rook here and the queen takes the rook. I've been also thinking if the rook gives a pawn here on g. But again, I don't really see anything here. Anything. Maybe the rook goes to h4. And if the pawn takes, then the queen goes to g4, the king goes to f1, it goes here, king goes here, the rook goes here. This is one of the options. Okay, if after this one they take, we go check, and then moving the king to h1. Let's check it on the board out of curiosity. So here, here, and here. So like, here's the line I calculated was this, yeah. Oh, but they can go here as well, right? So, and hi guys, here's me from future. So this puzzle for white was correct, but for black actually is a different answer. So let's go through it. I just had my lesson with coach and she said me what was wrong and we found the right decision. So the idea is that we distracting the queen, and what we're doing, we have to attack the queen, and we are taking it with this rook f from f3 to d3. And if the queen takes, we're giving a check and winning the queen. Oh, and if the queen goes here, for example, to attack the checkmate, we're giving a check on e1, the rook takes, and then we sacrificing the rook on g3 and having the queen again. This is the decision, so this is the last answer. Okay, cool. Puzzle number 20 and both sides to solve. To go, I do want to sacrifice here to go here, and then the king moves and we go here. I was just thinking if that knight to 5 works right away, but it should be fine because rook takes the knight and then the bishop takes on e3, and we're still winning a piece. Okay. I think it's that we're taking the knight over here, and then the bishop takes the queen, and then the rook goes to g1. It's checkmate. Okay, puzzle 21. It's only white to go, and the difficulty is 2, which should be alright. My first idea is just to take the knight here, and the queen takes here, and then we can give a check here. And you say, oh, the rook takes, but... yeah, the rook takes, but then the queen is hanging. So let me show it while I can. And the queen goes, and there is a check. And if the king moves, we're taking the queen with the knight. And if the rook takes, actually the queen is hanging. Okay, puzzle number 22, black to go, and it's difficulty 3. The first thing I want to do is to move my knight here because it's a check, but I don't really see the continuation after. Oh, I think it's a similar situationship with what we had before with the bishop to a6. We had something similar, right? But so right now if we go to knight to h3 and the king goes here and we go bishop to a6, the white can cover, and if we take, they take. Sure, I don't know what's going on, but even if I sacrifice and do the same situation, they still can cover because the bishop is here as well. Did I set the part wrong? Right? Yep, I did set it right. So it's not actually working. What if I sacrificing the bishop, and after knight takes, the knight goes to h3, but then we don't have the check here, huh? No, it doesn't work. I do have another idea. I think I got fixated on the wrong idea. What if we're sacrificing rook on c1, and then after queen takes, we just go to knight to e2, and after rook takes knight, the queen takes c1, on queen on c1. I think this is right. Puzzle number 23, both sides to solve, and let's start with white. What we can see is that like, oh, there is a fork here. Okay, so we just take the knight. So we take the knight, the queen takes, and we forking the king and the queen, and the pawn cannot take because it's pinned. For black, do we sacrificing the queen with the idea on bishop b7, I think. Okay, last puzzle for today, number 24, and we're doing both sides again. White is easier, so supposed to be easy at least. So let's see what we have here with white. And again, I see the potential fork here, but how do we bring the knight here? And so we'll just take, they take, and then we're forking, right? Yeah, that's working. I like this one. And for black side, is there like anything this involving? Okay, I'm probably looking to the wrong side right now. Wait, I think I know. So it's a kind of a tricky. What if we just move the rook to e2? And the only thing I need to watch out is this one again, right? So here, and here we're moving, they're moving here. But then we take here and it's okay. Okay, maybe there is not this right away. It's just like because I need to be careful with those ideas as well, right? So maybe I'm moving my knight. So my idea was to go here, and if they do something like, for example, saving the bishops, then there is a checkmate. And if they protect checkmate, then we're having a bishop. But they can still have this idea, which I don't really like. Also, again, this one is still interesting idea because they cannot, so after this one, they cannot take here because the knight cannot move. But they can take the bishop here, and the question if it's what I need in this life. So maybe in this situation I can go rook to e2, and if they're moving rook to g1, oh no, but they take here. Okay, it doesn't work, sorry. Maybe we can go something like rook to e7, like for example, right? Because they cannot take here, and if they take the rook, then their rook is hanging with a checkmate. What else they can do? Let's just figure it out what they might do. Let's to go here, for example, right? And then maybe we can go rook to d. The knight is protecting rook, so it doesn't really work. But now the rook can take, oh no, this takes the queen. Okay, where's the queen can go? For example, queen goes here. But again, for example, they go to rook to g1. Again, maybe we can do something like d6. And they have to move the queen. And then move the queen, like for example here, right? And then we can move it again, and if it returns, and there is, let's record this one. Okay, and here's I solved the black side wrong again, but it's okay. So we should move rook to e2. We threatening the bishop, and if they take, here, we take here, and after they cover, we need to make a really good quiet move, which is rook b8 to threaten the bishop b7. And the other thing they can do on rook e2 is to take here. That's what we calculated for white, right? So this idea still kind of work. So here we're moving somewhere, right? They take in here, and now we're given a check. The king moves, and we go to rook g2, and they're moving here. And yeah, you can say, oh, I just take here and then come back, but actually there is such a cooler move because king has no squares to go, so you just need to find a check. But if you check like this, and the king moves back to g1, but if you move the rook on a vertical, it's actually going to be a kind of checkmate. I mean, they can cover, example here, and then they come with this rook, and it's still a checkmate. Yeah, such a beautiful puzzle. Okay guys, we're done. Actually, I got like, when we started like right here, and we did 1, 2, 3, and 4 pages of the homework. It was huge, and I'm so happy that I actually did it. So thank you for watching. Please follow and subscribe, and see you next time. Bye bye.